It's the most visible, one of the more visible examples of free speech being curtailed, but not the worst. Like this, I mean, it's just a billboard, right? Honestly, it's just a billboard, but it's kind of an example of ridiculous things that are happening around free speech and around parents' rights, around women's rights, around children's rights. And those are very like quiet fights that aren't really being reported on, right? So I think that the value of something like this, going up, getting paint all over it, being taken down instantly, it's big and it's flashy and it's newsy and it gets people talking, and I think that's the real value of it.
And so what do you think about some of the stances JK Rowling has been taking lately?
She sucks. Like, it's terrible. As far as I know, she just says pretty despicable things about trans rights. She doesn't believe in trans rights. She seems like a terrible person.
I think JK Rowling is an honorary white male because of that, a cis white male, and should probably donate her breasts to a trans man who's or trans woman who's transitioning.
You know who JK Rowling is, right? She's the British author and screenwriter who's brought us creative masterpieces like Harry Potter. Oh, and she's also the founder of Loomis, a charity for helping families get the resources they need, one so basic as parents' ability to raise their own children rather than have an orphanage do so. So it should be no surprise then that people love JK Rowling, right? Well, hold that thought, because JK Rowling has also been speaking out on behalf of women and children in a way that is not deemed socially acceptable by the far left nor their mainstream media. Now, this has earned JK Rowling the trigger label of TERF. I'm going to save you the Google search. That means trans-exclusionary radical feminist. It also has earned signs that profess their love to Rowling to be labeled as symbols of hate by some. Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, and this past weekend a huge I Heart JK Rowling billboard sign was put up near the busy intersection on Hastings and Glen Drive in Vancouver. I emphasize was, because as fast as a social justice warrior can yell, "That's transphobic," the sign was painted over and replaced. Chris Elston and Amy Hem, both from the Greater Vancouver area, partnered to have the sign put up on Friday, September 10th. Both of the Rowling lovers and around 10 other people, including myself, were present the next day when the sign was prematurely assigned to be replaced. Now, of course, you will be able to find some who oppose Rowling respectfully, raising concerns about some transgender people, but a significant amount of far-left opposers don't want a discussion at all. They want Rowling's voice on the topic to be shut down. For example, Vancouver City Councillor Sarah Kirby-Yung, who initially tweeted to Pattison Outdoor, the owners of the billboard, to condemn the sign. She then later applauded her cancel allies when the sign was being covered up. Now, Sarah's powerful influence shouldn't be of any surprise to Vancouverites. After all, she is the same woman who helped defund one of Vancouver's longest-standing women's rape shelters, all because that shelter believes that meeting the city council's demands to admit biological males alongside female rape victims would, quote, be incomprehensible, and it would contradict the essence and purpose of their work. Now, in a statement about why Chris felt the I Heart JK Rowling sign should go up, Chris wrote, "The idea for this billboard sprung to mind when a similar poster that Posey Parker had installed at the Edinburgh train station was removed. JK Rowling is the most beloved children's author in the world and has spoken eloquently about various concerns related to safeguarding women and children. I strongly encourage anyone trying to understand this debate to seek out her tweets on the subject. It's disappointing to see that Pattison Outdoor has decided a sign that says I Heart JK Rowling is a violation of their guidelines. I have asked which guideline it is in violation of, but no answer could be given. Now, I too reached out to Pattison Outdoor to get a better understanding on why the sign was removed, as well as what guidelines were violated when it was put up. And for now, I've received no response. But let's take a look at what Amy Ham and some of those who gathered around the billboard on Saturday had to say about the sign.
You do some freelance work, nurse by day, and this kind of stuff by weekend, I guess. So why is it important that you're here today?
We just wanted to kind of see what kind of vandalism happened to our sign overnight in terms of getting the billboard. I did this with my friend Chris, and we wanted to show support for JK ROWLING, who's recently stood up for women's sex-based rights.
Right, and so she's been getting a lot of backlash for that, but also a lot of support. What do you have to say about people who automatically think the things that she's saying means they're transphobic?
I think it's pretty clear if you listen to her words or read her essay that she's absolutely not transphobic, and that there is nothing transphobic about standing up for the rights of women and girls and children.
Now, you did this with Chris, a father of two, and he is saying that he thinks this might come down. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, we've heard that that apparently it's coming down today because of a single complaint.
A single complaint. And do you know anything about who vandalized the sign exactly?
I have no idea. There are a lot of people commenting online, and several people talked about paint, so no idea.
Okay. And last question,
Yeah.
What is it about everything going on, what JK Rowling is standing for, that you think parents need to understand moving forward?
Oh, that's a big question, but I guess when it comes to the issue with children, for me, I'm concerned about the fact that there's a narrative suggesting that children can be born in the wrong body, and basically that gender identity ideology reinforces sexist stereotypes about what you need to do to be a boy or a girl, and it doesn't actually allow children the freedom to just be themselves and to accept their bodies and their personalities for whatever they may be.
And so what's brought you here today?
Love for JK Rowling.
You're a fan?
Absolutely, a big fan of how she's standing up for women and children and how she's not backing down. She gives us all sort of the strength to speak up ourselves, which is great.
So do you know why this billboard might be offending some people?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's ghoulish.
And so what do you think about some of the stances JK Rowling has been taking lately?
Oh, she sucks. Like, it's terrible. As far as I know, she just says pretty despicable things about trans rights. She doesn't believe in trans rights. She seems like a terrible person.
And what about free speech? Do you think that this is something people should be able to do, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think free speech is something that we should all have.
No matter what side of the fence you're on?
Absolutely.
This is Erin Graham, a local feminist activist. Now, what brought you here? You're just here as the sign's being taken down.
I know I was very disappointed but not surprised to see that it's being taken down. But I was thrilled to see it on my Facebook feed this morning, and we thought my partner and I thought it would be good to get more photo evidence that there's a pushback to the erasure of women.
All right, I'm here with Karen Litsky, a former candidate for the PPC party. Now, Karen, what do you think about this sign, this billboard?
I think it's very gutsy of someone to put it up. I think it's a wonderful sentiment, and I'm delighted that it's that this position is finally finding a foothold in the public dialogue.
Are you surprised to see that the sign's been vandalized?
Not at all.
All right, so you go by Mark SJW, and why are you here today?
To make sure that justice is served and to give a unbiased account of what's actually going on with this genocide. this genocidal statement. I want to make sure these TERFs and TERF allies, they're the ones who get erased for once.
Have you personally read any of the things that she's written about it?
Yeah, her tweets. That's about it.
And which one, what did you find that was transphobic?
Oh man. Well, it's been a couple months. I don't remember. I'm sorry exactly. I can't quote her.
All right. So one of the things that she says is in regards to the transitioning that's happening to children, and that sometimes they might be too young to go through medical process that are going to affect them for things like sterility and make them not fertile the rest of their life. Do you think that children are able to make that decision for themselves?
Like, listen, children are children. I guess, like, it's children's rights have to be respected, but I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry.
We're talking about prisons, sports that are being taken over, women's sports by male-bodied individuals. Right? We're talking about women getting pregnant in prison now from male-bodied individuals who call themselves women, who are fully still bepenised, right? Because all you need to do now is have a feeling in your head, a thought in your head that says, "Oh, I'm a woman," and now you
to
are.
Have a thought in your head. You don't have to prove
Pretend.
you have it.
You could just be a rapist and pretend to have that thought in your head, and you're good to go. And you can call me a bigot for saying anything about it. You know,
there's
it seems
now
kinda
no
odd.
women's shelter in Vancouver,
Zero.
except the funded women's shelter in Vancouver, where you can go and not be certain that you will not be rooming with a man.
And I am really sorry to hear that, if that's the case.
Join
Well,
us.
no,
Be
but
an
all
ally.
I was going to say to that though is, like, do you not think that? Sorry, just maybe put it down a little bit. I'm not a big fan of cameras in general, but like maybe there should be a third or fourth or fifth way rather than just like one or the other.
We'll build a shelter for transgender people.
Sure,
Nobody
we'd
would
love to
object
see
to
that.
that. But that's not what the male transgenders want.
It is a chilling effect on free speech, definitely. And this isn't even the most egregious. Well, it's the most visible, one of the more visible examples of free speech being curtailed, but not the worst. Like this, I mean, it's just a billboard, right? Honestly, it's just a billboard. But it's kind of an example of ridiculous things that are happening around free speech and around parents' rights, around women's rights, around children's rights. But those are very like quiet fights that aren't really being reported on, right? So I think that the value of something like this, going up, getting paint all over it, being taken down instantly, it's big and it's flashy and it's newsy and it gets people talking, and I think that's the real value of it.
They've already vandalized the sign, and that they're agitating to have it taken down, which is ridiculous. If somebody wants to oppose the sign, what's to stop them from buying their own billboard? There's one just down the street that I can see from here. Why don't they just buy their own billboard? Why do they have to prevent the placement of this billboard?
And do you think it's interesting that there's no mainstream media here, or?
Yeah, it's been a thorn in my side for the last 4 years, I think, 3 or 4 years, that the CBC has not had a radical feminist on their interviews or shows about this or any form of male violence. It's been very distressing to learn that the mainstream media has completely shut down women's voices, and particularly feminist voices.
And so do you agree with some of the tweets JK Rowling has put forth?
I think JK Rowling is an honorary white male because of that, a cis white male, and should probably donate her breasts to a trans man who's or trans woman who's transitioning.
So after about 30 hours of being up and one complaint, I believe, the billboard is in the process of being taken down. Do you know who JK Rowling is? You ever heard of Harry Potter? Yeah, she brought us Harry Potter. All right.
Here at Rebel News, we bring you the other side of the story, and doing so, this type of journalism means that sometimes the powers at be try to cancel us, just like you're seeing happening or attempting to happen with JK Rowling. If you're able to, you can contribute to help cover the cost of our independent journalism by heading to letusreport.com. We appreciate your support.